everybody for the Friday evening session on Bhagavad Gita. So we will begin our session with prayers to Prabhupada and Lord Krishna. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Vinamne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Charini Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gauravani Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki Jai Shri Jai Gauranga ki Jai Prabhupada ki Jai
Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna. Welcome
Hare
everybody
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
for the session on Bhagavad Gita's overview, chapter 3. This is the 8th session on this chapter. Today we will try to cover from verses 34 onwards. Next 4 or 5 verses we try to cover. So welcome to Sanyal ji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Welcome Subarna ji. Okay. Sheila ji, Hare Krishna. Ahmad family, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Okay. Shobha ji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
They have joined in 2 equipments or 2 times. 2 times it is showing. Maybe we should exit from 1. Okay, no problem. Monika ji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Who is Samsung SM? Okay, anyway, no name. Welcome, Mr. Samsung. Okay. Fine. So let's begin our discussion. We have been discussing in our last session about the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. So, what is the purpose, Sanyal-ji? Purpose of Bhagavad Gita? You can unmute. You can unmute and speak. You can unmute.
Yeah.
Please. What is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita?
To connect Lord, we are the integral part of the Paramatma.
Okay.
And to connect with it, with the Paramatma. That is the main purpose.
Verse number 30, Prabhupada says, no, that is purpose of Bhagavad Gita. So how do you connect with Paramatma, Lord Krishna?
That is means without attached anything. Means without attachment. Nirmam.
Nirmama, Nirahankara.
Nirankara, yeah.
Right. Nirashi, Nirmamo.
Yeah.
Anyway, very clearly Krishna says, you surrender all your works to me. Basically surrendering all the results of our work to Krishna with mind fixed on Krishna always, and also saying that we don't have any personal motivations, personal desires other than serving Krishna. And Nirmama means I am not this body, I am spirit, soul, part and parcel of Krishna. This attitude, this understanding, this identity, and in that way we go on rendering our service to Krishna. That is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita, which means doing our actual activity of the soul to Krishna. That is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. Right? So this requires proper guidance and proper understanding from our side, and then execute the activities accordingly. Right? So having said this much, Krishna said this aspect of the purpose of Bhagavad Gita, one who executes his activities, his duties in this way, then who can follow these teachings faithfully without envy, anusuyataha, then very soon he will become free from bondage of karma, fruitive actions, he said. And people who don't follow this, who disregard these teachings, Krishna said, they are bereft of all knowledge, they are befooled and doomed to ignorance and bondage. Opposite. One who follows this instruction, which instruction? Purpose of Bhagavad Gita. Purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to, first of all, know that I am part and parcel of Krishna and surrender to Krishna with all your actions, mentally, verbally, physically, in all the ways. Right? Then see that every action of yours has no other intention other than serving Krishna. And also see that we are free from the false identity that I am this body, I am so and so, I am that and this. No, I am only spirit, soul, part and parcel of Krishna. This identity, you start working in that direction. Then we are actually fulfilling the purpose of our spirit soul. If you don't do this, then you are acting like a fool. That's what Krishna says. And you will be completely in ignorance. And every action of yours will be only a bondage. Like very simple understanding Krishna gave. And in verse 33, we understood that even though all this understanding is there in Bhagavad Gita, why is it that some people don't follow this? There are many great thinkers, philosophers, scientists, and many such educationists. Why they are not following? Because everybody is conducted by what is known as the modes of nature. He is born with certain modes, and that modes are pushing him to act in a particular way. Right? The modes, about the modes we'll understand as we move forward. But as of now, let us understand. This is the way Krishna's energy, called Maya, is influencing every aspect of our existence. Starting from our thinking, feeling, willing, our understanding, intelligence. Even this body is given by modes of nature, Maya energy, based on our desires. Krishna has sanctioned. So we are all conducted by certain modes. There are three modes: Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, Tamo Guna. Right? So combination, different permutation, combination of these modes, our body, our actions, and our every aspect is being conducted. So we are all under the modes. Right? Prabhupada said, academically, you may be a very learned person, but because we are in association with the modes of nature, means this Maya energy, from long time, we are forced to act in a particular way. Right? Just like a dog, it will bark. Similarly, we have some conditionings in our this body, what we have got. So we are forced to act in that way. So having said this much, now Krishna is going to address one important question, which naturally will have. Okay, if this is the way that modes are going to be driving our actions, what is the use of rules, regulations given in scriptures? Right? This question will come. If modes is what is driving all of us, what is the use of rules, regulations? This is what we are going to see in verse number 34. Today's verse. Indriyani indriyasyarthe ragadvesho evasthitau tayourna vashamadakche tauhi asya paripantino. These discussions, what we are having, are little philosophical. So I request all of you to have little more attention, because it requires some more deeper thinking and understanding. Okay, so now we're discussing just now about how modes are conducting all of our actions. So what is the role of rules, regulations as given in Vedas. Do this, don't do this. Accept this, don't accept this. Think like this, don't think like this. Right? Like this, why there are so many rules and regulations? Right? So for that, Krishna is answering. Because as conditioned souls, we have raga, dvesha. Raga means attachment. Dvesha means I don't want, repulsion. Prabhupada is translating it as repulsion, detachment. Attachment, detachment. Okay. So for some things we have attachment, some things I have detachment. Right? When very favorite sabji is made, oh, I eat more than everybody. Something which is not favorable or I don't like, it is made and you don't even touch it. Detachment. Automatic detachment. So attachment, detachment with everything like this in every aspect. Right? What you like, attachment. What you don't like, you have detachment. Right? This is what is going on. Prabhupada explained this already in one of the previous purports in second chapter. Attachment means accepting things for one's own sense gratification. What is attachment? Attachment means accepting things for one's own sense gratification. And detachment means absence of such sense gratification. Right? So like this, where our life is like this, attachment, detachment. Bhoga, tyaga. Right? So attachment, detachment is, or our attachment and repulsion is for sense objects is felt by embodied beings. Krishna says one should not fall under the control of such senses and sense objects. Why? Because Krishna says they are stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. It's a very important point which Krishna is making here. You should try to understand this a little more carefully. So basically, Krishna is telling that the rules, regulations mentioned in the scriptures is meant to gradually purify us, step by step, right? Because we have a natural propensity for enjoying senses, right? Given our conditioning is pushing us, you see this, you hear this, you taste this, you smell this, you touch this. Like this, our life is filled with many sense gratificatory propensities or actions. We are doing whole day, if you analyze what we are doing. We are trying to do things which I like, which I don't like, I don't want to do. Basically, it's all activities are self-centered. I like, I do. I don't like, I don't do. Right? That is what is going on right now. Attachment and repulsion or aversion or detachment. So, this type of attachment and detachment with sense objects, I like, I don't like, I like, I don't like, I like, I don't like, I like. This bhoga tyaga, Krishna says they are big stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. We are dabbling like this whole life. I like this, I don't like this. So this is a big stumbling block on the path of self-realization, Krishna says. So Krishna is advising that don't fall under the control of such attachment and detachment, or basically don't fall under the control of senses and sense objects. That is what Krishna is advising here. So, and there are certain principles which Vedic scriptures give us directions how to become free from this attachment and detachment. One thing you have to understand, attachment and detachment are two sides of the same coin. Right? So advice from Bhagavad in whole Bhagavad Gita is to rise above this attachment and detachment. Right? Don't become attached to any sense object or become detached to any sense object. After all, it is again on the same coin it is. Again, sometime you become attached also. It's like you may say, oh, I am diabetic. I should not eat sugar. So I should become detached. Example. But you go to one friend's place, they're offering you nice gulab jamun. Oh, I am diabetic. I am detached from gulab jamun. No, I have one. No, for my happiness, you have one. Okay, because you're telling I'm having it. So you develop attachment for the time being. So detachment went away, attachment came. Again, you go to doctor and say, what happened? Your sugar levels have gone up. No, I developed attachment to gulab jamun yesterday. So because of which sugar levels have gone up. So doctor will say, become detached again. So it is attachment, detachment work is going on. So like this, our whole life, we make determinations. Tomorrow onwards, even if somebody offers gulab jamun, I'll not even see. Right? Like this, you make determination. But next moment, rather after a few days again, oh, why gulab jamun? Some rasgulla and some other sweets are there. You eat. That is what is going on. Right? This is what our experience is there. So like this, Prabhupada very nicely explaining the purport. We are all driven by the modes. That's what is going on in our life right now. So one thing is that why we are entangled here in the material world is because we are going on with unrestricted sense enjoyment. Determination is there in the mind, but it's not executed. Rather, you think I want to control my senses, but it's not happening. Right? So unrestricted sense enjoyment is the cause of bondage. It's a vicious cycle. So scriptures are giving many rules, regulations. Do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. So rules, regulations is meant to regulate your sense gratification tendencies. So following them will gradually bring you to the platform wherein you align with what is your soul's actual nature, right? So Prabhupada gives example. Sex enjoyment is necessity for the conditioned soul. One of the necessities. But sex enjoyment is regulated under the license of marriage ties. Unrestricted sense enjoyment, like how animals have. Now that in human society, it is not permitted, at least in a civilized human society. Nowadays, it is becoming common. But thing is, our tendencies to enjoy, Bhagavata says, 3 tendencies are very prominent in all of us. Either an ant, elephant, or a human being. Any entity. Loke, Vyavaya, Amisha, Madhyaseva. Vyavaya. Vyavaya means tendency for sex enjoyment. Amisha means tendency for meat eating. And Madhya Seva means tendency for intoxication, intoxicants. Right? So intoxication, meat eating, and sex enjoyment. Which is very much common in every entity. Whereas in human form of life, you're supposed to regulate these tendencies for moving forward in your journey of spiritual life, Bhagavata says. So, according to the Vedic regulations, unrestricted mixing of men and women is not allowed, is forbidden, because it is detrimental for you to move forward in your spiritual journey. Modern day society is not having any such understanding, any such background. They think, oh, life is meant for enjoyment. Let's go on enjoying. This is exactly how animalistic tendency is. Just see how risky it is. Rules, regulations are meant to purify you gradually. If you don't even follow rules, regulations, it will only further entangle you, and completely you will be so much deep in the ignorance of your existence that you will not be able to even come out of that ignorance. Right? That is the point number 1, Prabhupada says. And one more point Prabhupada says is that there is always a chance of accident even on royal roads. Very nice road, smooth road. It is a smooth road near Bangalore, Mysore, I think. But no guarantee that there is no accident there. Right? Any best of the roads, there is every possibility of accident. And so, why Prabhupada is making this statement is, yes, there are rules, regulations to see that you are regulated in your sense enjoyment. But if you become attached to these rules, regulations, oh, now this rule is there to enjoy sense gratification like this. So at least I have some rule of enjoying my senses. If that is the mood, but there is no mood of detachment, slowly, asaktaha, this is what Krishna has been telling the last many verses in this chapter. Should become detached or it should become unattached, Krishna says. So if you go on like this, too much attached to even rules, regulations, and not understanding the spirit of what you are following, why you are following, then that also will not help you in your spiritual progress. That will become a stumbling block. Just see, one is unrestricted enjoyment, no rules, regulations. You will fall down. Again, too much attached to rules, regulations, and mood that there is no, there is no attitude of moving forward in spiritual life, or rather, there is no spirit of moving forward in spiritual life. That is also a cause of fall down, or rather, that is also not proper attitude. That's what Krishna is telling us here. So, Prabhupada says, although these roads, safe roads, will be very carefully maintained, no one can guarantee there will be no danger even on the safest road. Why? Because the sense gratification tendency to enjoy senses is very much prevalent since long time. Prabhupada says. How many lifetimes we have been going on doing sense enjoyment? It has become like a very much natural for us. We don't think it is something not good. In fact, somebody is not doing sense gratification. People think, have you gone mad? That's what people ask, right? But you're not taking coffee. How do you stay? You don't watch TV. Oh, you think there's something wrong with you. Other people start telling. So this is the point. So, a regulated sense enjoyment, not understanding the spirit, this cause of fall down, and unrestricted enjoyment, no doubt, there is definitely complete, downfall. So Krishna is telling you should develop attachment to one thing. Prabhupada says, if you can develop attachment to the loving service of Krishna, devotional service to Krishna, that is the best. Prabhupada says towards the end of the purport, if you see carefully, attachment to Krishna consciousness, loving service to Krishna, this detaches you from all the different kinds of sensory activities. This is what Krishna has been telling from chapter 2 onwards. For attachment to so many things, the same attachment will become detachment. Oh, when you are newly married, so attached to wife, slowly detachment comes. Right? So like this, anything, initially the material relationship or material attachment is very nice initially, but slowly there is that rasa, that enjoyment is reduced. The point is, this is going on with any sense object, and like this, we are excited with new sense objects, material sense objects. But with Krishna's service, every moment and every activity you do, it is very enlivening because it is spiritual. Right? In fact, later verses, Prabhupada explains, 10th chapter and other verses, how Arjuna was so eager to hear more and more from Krishna. He was telling, what I'm hearing from you is like a nectar, amrita. Whereas the material subject matters are all very dull and no juice in that. It's all over after once or twice you hear. Whereas Krishna's topics are such that you go on hearing throughout your life, you're always enlivened, You're always feeling joy within you. That is spiritual subject matter. See, why are we running after sense enjoyment? Because that is giving you some type of a pleasure within you. Oh, this is going to give you some pleasure. But all these pleasures, even the modern day psychologists and neurologists have found out, these are all chemically induced pleasures. When your sense and sense object come in touch or contact, there is some chemicals released in the brain. Different types of chemicals like dopamine, etc., which is all going to give you a sensation of pleasure. Right? So whenever again that sense object is coming in touch with your sense, you feel that chemical is released. It's all chemically induced pleasure. Right? They are not natural pleasure of the soul. They are phenomenal pleasures. That's the point. So what Prabhupada is advising us here, if you can somehow become attached to Krishna and never become detached from Krishna. That is a nice statement from Rupa Goswami. He says, always remember Krishna and, for the next statement, never forget Krishna. Right? Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. If this is the principle you follow, then that is the safest. Okay, that's what Krishna is advising here. So one should never try to be detached from Krishna consciousness at any stage of life. So that is the purpose of all detachment. Because ultimately, one has to become situated on the platform of devotional service. So all these attachment, detachment, sense objects, this is a never-ending story. That's what you have been doing life after life. What is the use? But if you know what is the spirit behind all of them and properly execute them, that is best. But if you come to Krishna consciousness and slowly become attached to Krishna, that attachment will naturally detach you from any other sense object, any other sense object. There is no struggle. Naturally, you will be, I don't want all of them. Right? That is the point. So, this verse is basically hinting out to all of us that don't get into the trap of regulated sense enjoyment. That also is a trap. That is also going to, eventually not going to give you the ultimate success. Or, of course, unrestricted sense enjoyment is it's very abominable. Best is to develop devotional service and then completely come out of this vicious cycle of attachment. Okay, so this is verse number 34. Let's move to the verse number 35. So Krishna is again giving a wonderful principle here. This verse is repeated again in 18th chapter. In Bhagavad Gita, there are two verses repeated twice. One is this verse, the 3rd chapter, 35th verse, repeated in 18th chapter. And again, 9th chapter, last verse, Man Mana Bhava Mad Bhakto. This verse is repeated again in 18th chapter. So these two verses Krishna repeats to ensure or rather give the, to emphasize that yes, they are very important. Okay. Now, Krishna is giving a very wonderful principle here of how sometimes, this bhoga tyaga, attachment, detachment. I'll just give an example. See, that job was too, tiring and no respect. So I switched over to this job. Or this work was not giving me any satisfaction. So I shifted over to this job, this work. Like this, people are all shifting, transferring, and doing so many things. So what we should keep in mind is what Krishna is again giving one more important principle here. He says, Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha, paradharmat swanushthitat, swadharma nidhanam shreyaha, paradharmo bhayavaha. It is better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though they may be faulty, than another's duties. A very important principle. You may be somebody's specific duty is something to do. For some reason, they are not doing it perfectly. It doesn't matter. You do your duty. Because Krishna says, destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duties. For to follow another's path is dangerous. So, why Krishna is sharing such strong statement here? Let us carefully analyze. Basically, Krishna is telling it is very dangerous to give up one's own duty and try to follow someone else's path, means some other person's work. You give up your duty and do some other person's work. It's like telling this. It's like telling in an office setup, you have been given some specific roles to what you are supposed to do, but you give up that role for that day and you sit in some other person's table and do other person's work. What will happen to your work? Nothing happened. It is as it is, right? So Krishna says it is very dangerous to do like this. Why it is so? How it is so? We'll try to understand with nice examples. Prabhupada explains in the purport. So Krishna says, even though your way of working may be faulty, doesn't matter, but do your prescribed duties. Then doing another's duty perfectly. This basically Krishna is indirectly hinting about the fault-finding tendency we have. Oh, I would have done that work better than him. As though, you are master of all works, right? Many times, oh, he couldn't do, I would have done it like this within no time. Sometimes some people comment like that, So Krishna is telling that this attitude itself is not correct. So basically, Krishna is analyzing and telling us this whimsical way of our thinking with regard to doing anything and everything, which is not prescribed for you. In fact, this chapter, Karma Yoga, Prabhupada is telling discharge of one's prescribed duty in Krishna consciousness. Prescribed duty means what is that I am supposed to be doing as per my nature. Nature basically means the different permutation combination of three modes. I am soft natured, or I am this nature, or I am hardworking nature. So many natures we have. So based on the nature, some service which I am supposed to be doing, am I doing it or not is the point. Not that simply I go on, doing something and something else is not matching my nature. And the main principle in whatever we do with regard to our nature is that you are supposed to keep moving forward in Krishna consciousness. Right? So, Prabhupada says, whatever activity you may be doing, it's like telling, it's like in Varnashrama, there are four, Varnas, four ashramas. The four Varnas are basically, again, social divisions based on the different natures. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, they are not caste. They are different division of works. Right? So they have developed one nature of, say, intellect. They are intellectual with regard to understanding scriptures, want to spread this message of scriptures to everybody. It's a nature. Somebody has a nature of being very dominant, administration, Kshatriya. Or somebody is having a business acumen and want to do trading, Vaishya. Somebody doesn't have these natures, but he wants to simply serve whatever others say. That is called Shudra. So these are not caste; they are the natures with which we are born with. So Prabhupada explains this. These are called prescribed duties based on our nature. Prabhupada explains prescribed duties complement one's psychophysical condition. Psychological and physical condition. Right? Psychological means you are made up in a particular way. Your intelligence, mind, and all the internal thinking process is all going in a particular way. Psychological way of your whole system is working in a particular fashion. Right? So psychophysical condition of everybody is different. A person may be born of a doctor or born in doctor family, but he may be inclined to do business. right? A person may be born of a family wherein they're all teaching Vedas to others, but the child may be inclined to do administration. Possible. The natures, so many things are there when you're born. As Bhagavata says, that our karmana daiva netrena jantur dehopa pattaye. Bhagavata says, our karma, so many, our previous action reaction cycles, sum total of all of them, cumulative total, is manifested in our nature. Karmana daiva netrena. So based on the superior arrangement, Krishna will put you within the womb of a specific mother through the sperm of a father. That's how birth happens. So we're all born with specific natures because of our previous so many karmas. We're carrying a baggage of karmas. That we have to understand. So this psychophysical condition of whatever we are born with is all because of our previous karma. And this is going to give us what is known as prescribed duties. And this prescribed duty should complement with your psychophysical condition. Right? You are a person who is very much inclined to do business, and you are told to do some administration. You will not be comfortable. Right? That's how it is. What you are inclined to, or rather your nature will show your inclination. Somebody is very much interested to do art. If you tell them you do business, not easy. It's like that. There's some natures, we are born with. So that way, we are under the modes of nature that we have to understand, and we are born with certain natures, and that nature will push us to specific type of work which is actually complementing my psychophysical nature. So in the Vedic way of life, Varnashrama, these natures fall under 4 categories. As an intellectual person, or administrative person, or a business person, or simply a person who can follow the orders of other people. Okay, this is what Vedic system says. Whereas with regard to the one is called prescribed duty based on our body, psychophysical condition. One more is called spiritual duties, which is beyond all this body, psyche, and other things. And these spiritual duties are irrespective of whatever your background is. Right? The spiritual duties is as ordered by spiritual master. Whatever spiritual master orders for devotional service to Krishna. It's like Prabhupada is ordering all of us to chant Hare Krishna mantra. That everybody should follow. Whether I am having a nature of a businessman, or nature of a administrator, or whatever nature I have, I follow. I chant Hare Krishna. I follow 4 regulative. It's called spiritual duties. Right? So, Prabhupada very nicely explains further, both materially or spiritually, one should stick to his prescribed duties even up to death, rather than imitate another's prescribed duties. Just like somebody is doctor today, and then I want to become a businessman after some years. That's how material world people are. I told you about how switching over jobs and doing so many things, trying out different things. But generally speaking, in the Vedic culture, this type of switching over was not allowed, or rather was not recommended. Right? Here Prabhupada says, materially or spiritually, one should stick to his prescribed duties even up to the point of death, rather than imitate another's prescribed duties. Right? So basically, Prabhupada is telling there is authorized direction. These duties are not you do whimsically. Whatever way you want, I will do. No. These are all having some direction. Just like with regard to the administrative class, the directions are there very clearly in Bhagavad Gita. It's supposed to function this way. 18th chapter describes all these things very detailed way. Right? Now, Vaishya means what is his duties, how he should perform. All these things are very clearly described. So we are supposed to stick on to those rules, regulations, and follow them. Right? That is the point. So, as long as in the material world, under the spell of modes of nature, whatever rules, regulations are there with regard to psychophysical conditions, one should follow, not imitate others. Prabhupada gives example. A Brahmana generally is a non-violent person, right? Whereas a Kshatriya is a violent person. Example of Arjuna we can take. Arjuna is a Kshatriya and he wanted to become non-violent, which is against the nature of his psychophysical condition. Krishna says, perform your duty even though faultily, and better not to imitate others' actions, even though you can do it perfectly. That's what Krishna is telling. So, Krishna's advice to Arjuna is, don't imitate to become a sannyasi or a brahmana. Right? You will be, you'll be ruined. Dangerous it is. You will cause social disruption. Perform your duty just like Krishna when he was he was in Vrindavan. He was acting like a Vaishya, cowherd. Right? But when he came to Dwaraka, he was acting like a Kshatriya. Right? With regard to Krishna, what the example I'm giving you is, whatever role he was playing perfectly. In that role, he was playing the role perfectly. It was the need of the time for that moment. So basically, what Prabhupada is trying to tell us here is that in the Vedic way of life, this crossing over and jumping over abruptly, this is what Krishna has been telling, abruptly changing your position. I want to become sannyasi tomorrow onwards. Leave everything and go to the forest. No. Abrupt changeover is not good. Right? Everyone has to cleanse his heart by gradual process in Vedic way of life. I'm not coming to the Krishna consciousness. I'm telling the Vedic way of life. Right? So, Prabhupada says, however, when one is practicing Krishna consciousness, this rule is not applicable. Because in Krishna consciousness, early morning, I'll be doing, maybe from outside perspective, a Shudra work, housekeeping work in temple, cleaning the temple hall floor. From outside perspective. But for devotee, cleaning the temple hall, or after cleaning the temple hall, he will do Pujari service, Brahmana service, Shudra service, Puja Brahmana service. After that, he will go and do some administration work of managing things in the temple. Or he may go and have some books with him and want to sell it for Prabhupada's books to outside people. He's doing all the roles. But center is Krishna. Devotional service. This is what Prabhupada and his Guru Maharaj wanted to introduce in the present day society. It is called Devi Varnashrama. Devi Varnashrama means the center is Krishna. So any activity you do is transcendental. Prabhupada says a devotee who is mopping the floor of temple, or a devotee who is doing arati to Krishna, they are on the same transcendental level. No difference. Why? Because all services are connected to Krishna. In Vedic way of life, every other varna, ashrama are all doing their duties, gradually elevating to the platform of devotion. In Krishna consciousness, directly service is being rendered to Krishna. Okay, that's the point. Oh, Pujari is doing nicely to Krishna Arati, so he is big. Somebody is doing some other service, insignificant service. To my vision, it is no, not like that. In Krishna consciousness, it is all transcendental. It is all on the same equal platform. That's the point. Right? So Prabhupada says very nicely, when one transcends the modes of material nature and is fully situated in Krishna consciousness, He can perform anything and everything under the direction of bona fide spiritual master. So, activities, what you are doing, anything and everything, cannot be done on your own. It is done under the direction of bona fide spiritual master. That's the important point. So, our activities are all directed. What we do from morning till night until we sleep are all transcendental. Why? Because Prabhupada has given us directions. If I go to market and purchase vegetables, it is transcendental because I am purchasing vegetables for Krishna. If I go to some government office for some permission work, again it is for Krishna only, Krishna's temple, to get some permissions for building Krishna's temple. If I go and ask some donation, you may look like a marketing agent. No, I am representing Krishna, Prabhupada, and trying to ask you, engage you in service of Krishna by collecting donation from you. That is the way. So, anything a devotee can perform, everything he can perform under direction of spiritual master Prabhupada. And all of them are having equal transcendental value. Right? So Prabhupada says, in that complete stage of Krishna consciousness, a Kshatriya may act as a Brahmana, Brahmana act as a Kshatriya, or a Shudra, anything. You can take multiple roles in a day. Or different times, different roles. No problem. In Vedic way of life, one type of nature you cannot switch over. It is not allowed. It is said, a Brahmana can maximum take a role of a Kshatriya or a Vaishya. He can never become a Shudra role. He cannot take. Bhagavatam says. Right? Like that, there are so many restrictions, rules, regulations in Vedic way of life. Whereas when you start performing devotion, because it's all directly connected to Krishna, right? The transcendental stage, the distinctions of the spiritual, of the material world do not apply. That's the point. The discrimination, distinction, all these things is all why? Because to see that there is a very, very harmonious way of life going on in the material world. There is no crisscross. Today he was a lawyer, tomorrow he became a doctor. Huh? Can you go to him? Where is his certification of doctor? No, I became a doctor. Yesterday I was lawyer, today I am doctor. Tomorrow I become engineer. Come here, I'll give you consultancy. That is the way. It will cause social disruption. Right? That's the point. Whereas in Krishna consciousness, it is not like that. Krishna consciousness, the basic principle of everything is to serve Krishna. Today I may be doing one service, which may be apparently from the outside perspective, a type of a service like a businessman. Tomorrow I may be doing something like an administrator. But everything is connected to Krishna. That's the point. So these distinctions or discriminations in the material world, what is applicable, is not applicable for devotional service. That's the point. Prabhupada gives example of two personalities. Vishwamitra was a Kshatriya earlier. He became a Brahmana, acted as a Brahmana. Parashurama was a Brahmana, born of a Brahmana father, but he acted as a Kshatriya later. How they could do this? Because they were all transcendentally situated. Right? They could do so. But unless you're on the material platform, simply you should not imitate this. You should follow the authorized directions. Basically, developing that proper sense of devotion within us when you're doing anything is the main essence. It's so wonderful instruction Krishna is giving us. Right? Finally, if you can develop that sense, that's what last verse also Krishna Prabhupada is explaining. That somehow develop attachment to loving service to Krishna. This will detach you from all type of sense gratification. Right? That is the point. Okay. So like this, very nicely Krishna is explaining all these principles. And with this, Krishna has finished his teachings to Arjuna on Karma Yoga. Now Arjuna has one very good question. Okay, very wonderful question. This is the nature of a student. A student should hear and also have some questions on points which is going to bring in more clarity and more enlightenment with regard to whatever subject he has discussed so far. Right? So, if you carefully see this question, verse number 36, Arjuna Uvacha, Arjuna's question, Atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichan api vashneya baladiva niyojitaha. So here, Arjuna is asking, O descendant of Vashneya, what is that one is pushed or impelled to act sinfully, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? In Bhagavatam, there is a nice example given. One thief knows that if I steal, what will happen? I'll be caught by police, put behind bars. And he has heard also, doing this, I'll go to jail. He has seen, he has heard, he has experienced himself going to jail. Even then, he commits this again. Why? That is the question which Arjuna is asking here. By what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if something is pushing you? Do it again, do it again, do it again. You know it is not good, not proper, but again then you are impelled, or rather you are pushed by something else. Right? So, actually as spirit souls, we are free from all such material contamination of doing all sins or all so many other nonsense like this. But somehow we are put in this material world. Why and how is what Krishna is going to explain in this next verses. What is that force which is pushing all of us from within? As though somebody is sitting within you and you do this, it's telling. This is Arjuna's question. So Arjuna is addressing one important aspect of our existence, what is known as perverted nature of living entities. Living entity has a real nature, spiritual nature. What is spiritual nature? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Jivera Swarupa Nitya Krishna Dasa. Nature, real nature of Atma is eternal servant of Krishna. But this nature becomes perverted. Perverted means distorted. Krishna gives example of an inverted banyan tree. A tree on the bank of a pond or a lake is upside down. Right? The roots are looking like they're up and branches are down. So our nature of actual nature of Atma as serving Krishna has been distorted or perverted in a way as though we are thinking, I don't have any connection with Krishna. Krishna, I don't know who is he. I am there. My family is there. That's all. This is called perverted nature. Okay, I'm totally disconnected from Krishna. So, this perverted nature, how it has come about, and why this perverted nature is making the living entity to act in a way so sinfully. So many times he thinks, oh, this is wrong, he knows. Socially, from the normal point of view, it is wrong. Cigarette smoking is very good for health. Yes, all of you telling yes. No, it is injurious. Written and printed boldly with all very scary pictures of people getting so much of cancer, other things. But even then, everywhere smoking is going on nicely. So what is going on? He's forced to act sinfully. What is that forcing him? So, Prabhupada explains, Paramatma is not telling you to do this, mind you. Then some bhuta is sitting, some ghost is sitting within me, that is pushing me. What is that pushing me? Very, very intelligent question. Right? Paramatma will never tell you to smoke or drink or do anything nonsense. He will only tell you before you smoke, he tells, why are you smoking? Stop smoking. No, I want to smoke. Who are you to tell me I'll smoke? That's what happens every time. You see, anything wrong you want to do, there's a one reminder from Paramatma. Ting, what are you doing? Don't do this. But no, I don't want to listen to you. Shut up. I will do whatever I want. This is what is going on. So what is that another ghost sitting within us, which is pushing us to do all this nonsense? This is what Krishna explains to us in the rest of this chapter. And how to kill this ghost. Not one ghost, many ghosts sitting. Krishna says they are enemies, vairis sitting. And they're all attacking you from all corners. Your mind, senses, intelligence is attacked continuously by these ghosts. So what are they? And how to tackle them? How to overcome their influence? And how you can again come back to your original spiritual nature. Right now it is perverted or distorted or completely different nature it is of yours. You're not original nature. You have gone mad. Pagal ho gaya. That is what our situation now is. Right? So we have to come back to our healthy, normal condition of serving Krishna. What is that? Krishna is going to explain further. Okay, so I'll conclude here and we will continue discussions in our next session. Any questions? Any clarifications? Comments?
Prabhuji,
Yeah, Sanjay.
I have some little bit doubt about the sloka 35.
35. Please go ahead.
Prabhuji, that you have confined that this sloka with the boundary of Chaturashram.
Yes.
Okay. If you extend the periphery further, if I talk about the dharma, like someone is the Hindu, someone is the Christian, someone is the other means religious they're following. Like, is it mentioned, Prabhuji, that the Lord Krishna, that suppose you are means Hindu, you don't convert from Hindu to Muslim, or means Christian to Muslim, or like that? Does it mean with that means meaning of that sloka? You have well explained about it with the Chaturashram. I'm thinking that if you extend further,
you can extend to any field. Good, you ask this question. Good, I can clarify more nice, more better. One more application you have given me to give this understanding. Very nice. So basically, you have to understand one thing. The different faiths people are following across the world. Krishna explains this, why it is so, in 17th chapter. Divisions of faith. Okay. Basically, in the Vedic culture, there was only one dharma called Sanatana Dharma. Even this word Hindu, in whole Bhagavad Gita, you don't find. Or in whole Vedas, you don't find the word Hindu. It's a word coined by the people from Afghanistan, Balochistan, and other areas, other side of River Sindh. These people cannot pronounce Sindh as Sindh. They call it as Hind. Right? So, people who are really living in this tract of land, across the Sindh River, Indians, they are called Hindu. That's how this word Hindu came into picture. But we don't see any such word Hindu in whole Bhagavad Gita or whole Vedic scriptures. Okay, point number one. And these different types of faiths or religions, first of all, let us understand what is the definition of religion. Bhagavatam explains, dharma means dharmam to sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Dharma means any law or codes given by God himself or God's representative. Clear? So, just like law, in our country, who makes the law? Government makes the law. Right? New law, new GST law, new traffic law, new that law, new that this law, land law, revenue, all government. There is a, we have elected representatives, democracy, and then we have system, laws are made. So you and I sit in a place, in the restaurant, and we start new law. tomorrow onwards, this is the new law. All vehicles that are going should not travel on right, travel on left. Huh? But nobody will follow, only you should follow. Right? So this is a basic principle of what is known as dharma. Dharma means the courts or the laws given by God or God's authorized representatives. If you analyze Christianity, Jesus Christ, he is known as the Son of God, a true representative of God. And he has given commandments, 10 commandments in Christianity. They are religion, dharma, for people who strictly adhere to those principles. Right? And all those principles, any religion, any faith with regard, authorized faith, not simply whatever concocted faith, authorized faith as per the laws given by God or his representative, are all meant to finally bring a human being to the platform of knowing God and loving God. Agreed? So to bring you to the platform of knowing God and loving God, that is the purpose of any religion. Any religion you analyze carefully. Right? So Christianity also, Jesus Christ wanted to see that the people in that tract of land at that particular point of time, he wanted to bring all of them to this point of loving God and rather understanding God and loving God. And he said, our Father is in heaven, and my Father's name is so and so, Christ, and you should love him, you should develop proper understanding about him, you should chant his name. That's what Christianity says. Coming to Muhammad Islam, so this also has a history of one messenger of God, Prophet Muhammad, who came some time ago in history, wherein he brought the same message. So like this, if you analyze every authorized religion coming from God or God's representative, it has a common message to understand God and love God. Because without understanding God, where will we love him? Right? And understanding already is there, but somehow it is covered now with all these modes of nature. So there are rules, regulations, which will help you to uncover these modes or conditionings, and you love God. That's the point. So, if you carefully go through all the various religious doctrines and other things, they all have a history. Whereas the understanding of Bhagavad Gita or Vedic scriptures has no any when it started, nobody can trace it. That's why it's called Sanatana. Sanatana means it is eternal, eternally existing. And as time went on, the influence of time made people to drift away from Sanatana culture. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam sajamyaham. What does it mean? Whenever there is increase in irreligion and decline in the actual religious practices, I dissent or I send my representatives. Okay, so the different various other religions which we may think it is different, they're not different. Krishna has sent his son as Jesus Christ. Krishna has sent his messenger as Prophet Muhammad. Krishna himself came as Lord Chaitanya. Krishna incarnated as Lord Buddha. It is same God coming in different ways to give the same message. What is the message? All of you are my part and parcel. Understand this, perform devotion, develop love of God, and come back to me. Over. That is the message. So, the principles given in Bhagavad Gita are all universal. Anybody can follow. There is no restriction as such. The principle, and definitely Bhagavad Gita doesn't recommend that you switch over your faith from one to other. Right? As long as in whatever faith you are following, if you can develop love of God, why not? It's authentic way of doing. And it's like telling, today you're in this university, University A, and tomorrow you switch over to University B. Why? Same things are being taught, the same syllabus is being taught. Right? As long as you study the syllabus and you pass out from the university, required qualification, why not? The principles of Bhagavad Gita are very universal and very, very accommodative. There is no such, with regard to having, change, or you change like this or don't change like this. No recommendation like that. As long as what you are following, if you can develop love of God, that is the right way. That is what Prabhupada also preached. But what is happening right now is that people are only rubber stamping themselves as Hindu, Muslim, Christian, but they don't know anything about that particular principles. Prabhupada pointed out this very bluntly. When he was traveling in the Western countries, he said, Jesus Christ has said, thou shalt not kill. But you are killing openly, opening big slaughterhouses. Where is your obedience to God or God's representative? Right? You're not even obeying God, then where is the question of love of God? Right? So in that way, Jesus Christ pointed out, Prabhupada pointed out, presently any people or any person telling himself that I follow a particular religion is not following anything. Simply he is putting a rubber stamp on his head. I'm a Hindu, I'm a Muslim. What is the use? Better you follow strictly what is being taught in your religion and develop love of God. If that is not happening, then Prabhupada says, follow what we are telling you. Because this is going to give you love of God very soon. Authentic process. Why Prabhupada said this is because in whatever religion people are following, nobody is given any guidance, proper guidance. Nobody is given any proper understanding of, even in my example also, you may say, oh, you're all born in Hindu families. But what was the training you got? You're just going to temples as rituals. We don't know what is the purpose of worship, what is the reason for this whole life. So many questions unanswered. Right? Because nobody is given this philosophical understanding, what is there in Bhagavad Gita and everything. All of this we have with us from the beginning. But nobody has given any proper training to us, understanding to us. That is the problem. Right? So, neither in Bhagavad Gita nor in entire Vedic literature, there is any such recommendation that you switch over your faiths. Rather, it is recommended that whatever faith you are following, authorized faith, you strictly follow and see that you develop love of God. That is the main point. Whichever university you are studying, doesn't matter. You study, but you understand the subject matter nicely and pass out. That's the point. That's the principle. So if you are not able to, then there's some problem with you, not with the system. That's what Prabhupada pointed out. So the application with regard to this aspect here, we can say is that, yes, with regard to what you are following and not following properly, anyway, you don't know what is actually following. You are blindly following, or your following is not giving you any results. So Prabhupada is only recommending, why don't you follow something which is going to give you results practically? And Prabhupada demonstrated it. Because one thing you are not following, either you are following, you are not following the way it's supposed to be followed. So follow something which is authentic. Mostly people are having following of some rules, regulations, all concocted, all manufactured. Bhagavan ko ek agarbatti jalana hai. Bhagavan ko aisa karna hai, wo karna hai, all concoctions. So many concoctions. No standard way of working. See, standard way of working means it is same for you and everybody in any part of the world. That is called science, no? So Prabhupada preached this science of God. Right? Prabhupada never preached any cult or rather any so-called sectarian way of some following. So again, we should come out of this paradigm of faiths, religions, all these things, what understanding we have. We should have a broader understanding of what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Right? We are not against any religion. As long as the person professing that religion strictly follows what is given as rules, regulations of that religion. But people are not following, and if you are following that, you have developed love of God. Where is that love of God for you? They are all killing animals openly, causing hatred, causing wars again and again, everywhere. The result of religion is not that. That's the point. So Prabhupada says, judge a particular thing by its result. Judge an action by its result. Result is not coming out and there's some problem with you. Either with you or the way you are following things, or there's some lack of something. That's the point. So the whole understanding here is there is no question of changing faiths. Rather, you are not following something which is supposed to be followed. Follow properly. That's what Prabhupada said. Okay. So I've given you different perspective.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Any other question, clarification?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandvat Pranam.
Take it.
Prabhu, what is Vrishnavanshi?
Vrishnavanshi. Okay. Vrishnavanshi is Krishna born in the Vrishni dynasty in which Krishna was born. So Krishna can be born in any dynasty, but he chose dynasty, Vrishni family, Vrishni whole
Okay, that's the
dynasty. So that's why it's called Vrishni, Vashneya, Vrishni. Vashneya is called. So that is what it is called. Descendant of Vrishni.
descendant.
So Vashneya, it's called, Krishna's another name is Vashneya. This particular thing, Kunti Maharani explains in Bhagavatam. Sandalwood can grow anywhere, right? But specifically, the sandalwood grown in Malaya hills is very famous. So it's called Malayan sandalwood. So Krishna, out of his affection for his devotees, he chooses one particular devotee. Maybe he's coming in one family, as per whatever way. So in that way, Krishna chose Devaki Vasudeva as his parents who are part of Vrishni dynasty. That's why he's known as Vashneya. So Krishna can be born anywhere with anybody, but he chooses his devotees, specifically in a particular pastime. So because he was born in the Vrishni dynasty, it's called Vashneya. That is the understanding. Okay, fine. I think we'll close now. It's already late. So next week, we may not have the session because some of us are traveling to Jagannath Puri Yatra. So we may continue our sessions after that next week. Okay. So thank you, everybody. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Dandvat.
Jai Jagannath ji. Jai Jagannath.